Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. Are y'all ready for some big expansion? Be ready to step into where your soul's calling forward to these parts of yourself that you know about yourself, but that you don't know, and also how that's of service to you, but of service to the planet as well. I had the most amazing experience connecting etherically with our guest tonight, JJ Brighton. And I was introduced to JJ through a friend who didn't really know her, but that knew that we needed to connect. And we had a connection that I had this etheric dream, this amazing dream of where she was working. I don't know what we were doing, but it's profound. Um, and this whole world has opened up. And what JJ is facilitating and holding for the expansion of all of us, but really leading in it, like really being a voice and an instrument for what's possible, is absolutely extraordinary. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about JJ, a little bit more anyway, officially. Today we are talking about planetary grid work, and this is just so up my alley and such in my passion wheelhouse. And I know a lot of you are going to relate to it. But again, let me tell you a little bit more about JJ. So JJ is a galactic channel, a light language mentor, activation guide, and creator of the multi-dimensional soul integration modality. Based in Los Angeles, JJ offers one-on-one and group activation experiences in her cosmic sanctuary near the beach, as well as facilitates a variety of virtual offerings, including Starseed Gridwork Community. In October 23, she founded Star Mothers Worldwide. Can you just even feel that name, what's happening there? And it's a global community dedicated to spreading the frequency of the star mothers and knowledge of humanity's galactic connection. So again, we're for an amazing conversation. We're going to take live Q&A, prepare to be activated and galactivated, um, and to have a lot of fun. And with that introduction, JJ, welcome to Beyond the Ordinary.
Woo! I can't wait for going beyond the ordinary. I mean, that's where I live
That's
all
where you
day,
live.
every day.
Mhm.
So honored to be here. And I am tuning in right here from my cosmic sanctuary. I told John this is the first time my cosmic sanctuary has been broadcast. And it is honestly, for those of you who are healers, you probably understand your space is alive. Your
Yeah.
space is literally alive. And my space wanted to be set up a certain way for this group. So you can say hi to all these objects behind me and you'll notice little things jump. They'll be like, hi, I'm here, I'm here. But John, I mean, we have not met in person, and we're going to be in person soon at Mount
Mhm.
Shasta, of all places.
Yeah.
When we come together and connect just virtually, my body is just like vibrating right now. And
Mhm.
I do this all day. So it's like, but right now I'm just feeling what you just said. Like, are you ready for a shift? Are you ready for activation? So the alchemy of what we're doing right now is super potent. And again, I'm just so honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's so fantastic to have you on here. For a little bit of context, a lot of people here are new to you, but also we use such languaging sometimes. It's like, well, what exactly does that mean? You're a galactic
Absolutely.
channel and a light language mentor. What exactly does that mean?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't know how I got here, honestly. Those labels. I'm like, "Kia tata yanai." Can I just explain it to you in galactic language? That would
You
be the
probably can, yeah.
easiest.
Hmm.
Galactic channel for me is a conduit of frequencies that are off planet. Interestingly enough, I also channel frequencies on planet, but much of our planet was created from the stars. And so it's all galactic in my mind. It's all those higher vibrational star frequencies. Some people throw around terms like Pleiadian, Arcturian, Sirian, Andromedan. All of those are my beautiful friends and soul family. And so I will oftentimes allow them to step in and bring through messages for humanity in both English and also light codes, light language. The label of light language mentor, I feel light language activator might be even a better way, a more refined way to say it. But really, I don't activate either because I utilize the light language to help people activate their own light languages. And a lot of people who have listened to my transmissions on Instagram have never heard light language before. And I just hear story after story. They're like, I was scrolling through Instagram, I stopped. And they're like, my body just reacted to this. And sometimes people will say they've never met with me before in person, never had a one-on-one, anything like that. And they'll, a couple years later come and do a one-on-one and they'll say, oh yeah, like 2 years ago, I listened to something you did. And then a week later, my light language just started coming through. Light
Mhm.
language is, and I believe you've had guests that spoke light language before. So your community is familiar with the idea of light language.
Yes.
For me, everything we do is transmitting energy. So even our guides are like, why are you guys saying light language? Like even them, but the lingo of the day in our realm of spirituality is to call it light language. And it's essentially bypassing our structured languages that we have, English, Spanish, German, Chinese, whatever it is, and creating like a soul frequency sound and just letting that flow out. In religious settings, which I'm sure you've had people explain this too, it's often told to be speaking in tongues, speaking in
Mhm.
tongues. So I lately have been really honing in on that. I've been doing these one-on-one sessions where people are receiving light language and we're just speaking back and forth, light language, light language, light language, light language. And so much is being activated through that. So that's one avenue. I also know, the terminology, the gridwork piece is big. So I'm super open to just anything that you want to explore with gridwork, any specific questions.
Well, we're going to get into grid work in a second. First, I have to
Okay.
just state that there's certain calls that have been happening over the last several weeks on these broadcasts and individually that I'm connecting with someone and it's happening with you right now where my just solar plexus is just like it is going nonstop expanding and it ties into an awareness that I have of a timeline shift and our capacity to tune in and in new ways, I'll call it. And I'd love your perspective about what's occurring there before we get into the planetary grid work
Mm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing because that is exactly where my body is reacting right
Mm,
here. Solar plexus, John. Solar
mm,
plexus. I imagine there are probably people listening who are feeling the same. I would
oh yeah.
love to just drop us in for a moment, allow us to soften our bodies. My guides are letting me know that even this moment in time, our our video transmissions, the both of ours together, are transmitting codes without like even not being spoken, just through our persons, our bodies. So just allowing everybody to really feel like they're anchoring in their bodies because when we get into this energy, as you know, John, like you can rocket ship right out. Oh, yeah. Ah, that feels good. That feels good. That feels good. Convergence.
Mm,
Let's go back to the basics for a second when we talk about convergence and let's talk about as above, so below.
beautiful.
Let's talk about convergence at the micro and convergence at the macro. Because here's how it's been coming through for me. Obviously, with the Mount Shasta event that Star Mothers Worldwide is hosting, and we've invited you to come on as a guest workshop facilitator, activator. Uh, that was the theme that came in was convergence of timelines. Convergence, really. I mean, there's so many ways it's converging: time, space, like energy, all the ways. Convergence is the key word. Well, interestingly enough, over the last couple of months, I've been shown the convergence happening at that scale. Like they're calling it galactic convergence. So everybody just remember what's happening during the window of the Lion's Gate. There's a few people that are kind of saying like it's around that is happening. Something's happening at the galactic level. Well, obviously, if it's happening at the galactic, it's the universal. But for our human mind, let's just call it galactic because otherwise we just go to infinity and we're like, what? And we just get mind blown. So we'll call it galactic convergence, right? This means that many, many beings, collectives all over the galaxy have their eyes on what's happening
Mm,
at Shasta. like there even is what I'm being told. However, as above, so below. What is happening, and one of the reasons your bodies might be reacting right now is because we're broaching the subject of the fact that the convergence is happening at like a subatomic level as well. The
Hmm.
convergence is happening in the quantum field. So it's holding space in our bodies for the convergence. This is why so many of us have been experiencing what can feel chaotic, to be completely honest with you,
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, because a lot of things are coming together. And Uyana, I just want to call in any additional wisdom or information from our guides, our higher selves. Mm. Sometimes the word convergence can be confusing for our conscious minds, and they are reminding us that we can line ourselves up with that idea, or we can really call in just the frequency of unity consciousness, just
Mhm.
boil it right down to unity consciousness, the contract that Gaia has to converge into unity consciousness as a proxy for many, many peoples across the galaxy, for many beings, for many planets, for many stars. She is playing a role. It is her contract. At the same time, we have a contract to physically embody that. We are Gaia. We are Gaia, honestly. Like we are her. She is us. So we have that contract at this individual personal level within our bodies. So that's what wants to drop in, and that feels complete.
Hmm. Beautiful. I love the tranquility that that's bringing in, and in that spaciousness, what's flowing through us, both known and unknown. Mount Shasta and planetary grid work, and I know that's something that I know Mount Shasta's one nodal point in it. Um, but why is it such a focal point in your focus right now? What's coming through for you?
I really appreciate that you planned on having somebody on your podcast. I believe it was yesterday, who talked about the fact that Mount Shasta was all about crystal activation.
Mhm.
Because what we're doing, John, is we're converging our wisdom, our knowledge as individuals, and we're being called to offer each a piece of that puzzle. So when we meet in Shasta physically, right, you and the group that's coming with us, we have over 80 people at this. It's a conference more than a retreat. Like a lot of people are having retreats too, like 8, 7 people, 10 people. Like, what the heck is going on? You said
Yeah.
this to me. You said this yesterday on the podcast. And okay, John. So I think you know this. I've never been to Mount Shasta, first of all. You guys are probably going to laugh. I've never been to Mount Shasta, but this is happening to me. I mean, for those who don't know my background, I spent the better part of 20 years of marriage raising 8 children. I still have 4 at home. And so it wasn't about going all over the world, right? Like just came forward for me. So they're just like, okay, go here, go here. And I have to go following my gut, following my intuition. You've been there several times, which I think is very important. I have a beautiful friend who actually got me water and I've been drinking it from Mount Shasta. I'm just like, yes. She brought me stones, she brought me water. I was like, calibrating. Why Mount Shasta? I've channeled a few things about this. When I see her, and actually, I think you remember there was a calibration call where I can't even remember if it was me now. It feels like when we channel, we're all channeling like collectively this
Mhm.
unified field of consciousness, and it blurs. Like, who channeled that? I don't even remember. Mount Shasta was channeled and came through as the frequency, the sentience that wanted to come through. And right now, I'm just going to tell you what I'm getting pinged with, because like there's so many flavors and variations of why Mount Shasta and what is Mount Shasta. And what I'm hearing and feeling and sensing right now is a very maternal feeling. It is a very like a cradle like feeling right now,
Mhm.
to cradle us through this time of convergence so that we feel supported. I keep seeing the aurora ray as well around Mount Shasta, this aurora rainbow energy coming forward. I do know, and this is connected to planetary grid work, which I know we're going to weave in a second. landmarks, landforms, places have contracts to carry out certain things and to channel certain energies. So I'm also opening the Akash right now and
Mm,
seeing that her contract is to do what she's going to do, which for them to explain to us, quite honestly, they're like, it's really hard for us to give you all the details because your human brain is like not going to get it. But they're like, just understand this convergence unity consciousness is part of it. It's a it's a predetermined contract that Mount Shasta consented to in connection with Gaia, the collective. It's quite a complex contract from what I'm seeing. It
mm,
has a lot of moving pieces to it. I also feel like right now, John, it's been really interesting in all of the transmissions I've been doing in all of my community gatherings and everything. I will actually just be silent for a moment and let people drop into their own intuition. And I feel like right now, Mount Shasta is asking to connect with the hearts and minds of everybody listening for a moment to provide you with personal information pertaining to your soul journey. So I'd just love to have everybody pause for a moment and bring that in their sovereignty. There you go. It's downloading. We'll just let that play in the background while the rest of the meeting flows. So
mm.
I
Wow.
will pass it back to you.
Yeah, and anybody, if you want to share what was coming through or what is coming through for you in the chat box, please do. So just it's there's so much wisdom that we each have that's being activated to be shared, to be vocalized, to be put out into the field, um, for our own personal sakes, but for the sake of our brothers and sisters that we're co-creating with. Wow. So planetary grid work again. We talked about Mount Shasta and callings to other places. There was a time that I didn't want to travel for a few years, and I was still doing a little bit of it, but it wasn't calling as much. But it's like the fire got lit again. And Mount Shasta, I heard that I was going to be going, and I kept asking, all right, show me the right way to go there. And I turned down a few offers to go there until you showed up. It's like, okay, that makes sense. And I heard the calling and the alignment had to take place. I'll be in Egypt in September. I believe you'll be in Australia around the same time. I know a lot of other people that are starting to do a lot of these journeys, and it's not that everybody has to do it. Um, what's the greater calling, and what is your awareness of what is being triggered in this convergence, if you will? Um, what is it facilitating for what's being activated in the lines?
That's immediate right now. It's super
Mhm.
easy, very basic. Remembrance.
Mm,
That's it. It's remembrance, John. I know that's been a big theme for you too.
it has been the message
They're
that
like,
I
they don't need to tell a lot of words. I know, I'm like, is that all? They're like, just say remembrance.
that's it. Well, it makes sense. And the message as I sat in the stillness, and I love the elegance of the stillness of just pausing for a second to allow the intelligence to arise. And what I heard very clearly, and it came immediately, is awaken, 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 lead, 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 awaken,
Mm.
lead, awaken, lead. Um, and I know many of us that are on this call are getting perhaps very similar messages or the same message, and then trying to discover what is our role in that awakening and how is it that we can lead. And what are you finding? Was that one of the reasons why you started Star Mothers Worldwide, to provide a space for that? It's you're you're doing so many different things in different ways, but I know
As
that one
within,
of the
so without. I was like, I had 8 children. My business reflects the fact that I'm like a multitasking mom. I don't know. There's something, you're absolutely valid on that. You're absolutely valid on that. Um, I'm laughing because as you're talking about this, um, I'm just feeling into the the weaving together of everything
Hmm,
and actually being invited to pause because what we just said, they do not want us to pass over as fast as we did. We
okay.
just wove together a really important message with 3 words. Hang on, let me get them in the right order. I think the order is awaken, remember, lead.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Like you got two, I got one.
Mm.
It's like we put them together. Or awaken, remember, lead, awaken, remember, lead. It's like the formula that they're telling me right now. This is the formula. So the other word that's interesting when you say lead, I've been invited to begin to shift my vocabulary to reflect more
Yes.
of the new earth. And the word that has been coming forward, in fact, I just shared it in one of my groups today, was curating spaces. Curating spaces. I mean, just thinking about that for a moment, like we're curating for everybody to show up in their sovereignty and to
Mhm.
co-activate. So it has a flavor of leading in that you're getting to the space first, setting it up and calling people in, but we're all showing up in our sovereignty as equals, which I know is absolutely the frequency you're holding for Egypt. I'm hearing it right now
Mm.
in my awareness. And the same thing is the tone we desire to set for our Mount Shasta event.
Mm. I'm just swirling in the stillness. It's just that in between space in the conversation is so powerful right now. I mean, it's light language in the silence, if you will.
I once had a mentor say to me, who was very musical. I grew up in a church background, and I was like the church worship leader, right? Like I would be leading the group in song in front of the whole congregation. Okay? Visualize that. I was like activating, right? I was doing like I had a mentor remind me that the pauses are where spirit speaks, even in the music.
Mm. Wow. Are y'all feeling this today?
It's a new level of new earth energy exchange.
And it's so empowering in the pauses because again, it's like it's really seeing the liberated state. It's beyond empowerment. It's the liberated state of each individual and the co-creation that gets amplified from that liberated state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just feel the presence of the Divine Mother so strong.
Mm.
Somebody did mention that in the chat I saw, bringing this message through.
What's your awareness about New Earth councils and what's being formed as
Mm.
well?
That's a fun one. That's
Oh,
a fun one, John.
mhm.
It feels like play when you say that. It feels like play. I work with so many beautiful souls whose contracts are so different. And you know what's easy to do in the spiritual world when you see so many people awakening and holding space and creating communities? It's so easy to compare our contracts
Mm.
and to feel like that a little bit of wounding some of us have, brother, sister wounding, that wounding, right? That community. But I have been so uh taught, like received, anchored in all of this like awareness lately of how important it is for us to honor everybody's contract in whatever way they're showing up and to release all judgment. That's like step one before we can even get in these councils,
Mm.
because everybody is going to have their flavor. And so really it's about weaving things together. So there will be like I don't want to say like trial opportunities for you. And what I'm hearing right now, coming in as loud as can be from all of our guides and higher selves is don't skip the trial periods. Don't skip the trial periods. And sometimes they're sticky and sometimes they're
Mhm.
messy. And sometimes they're not what they're going to be eventually, but don't skip the trial communities, councils, what they're going to be. And I'm doing like this. I feel like they're giving us training wheels right now for these things. Like we don't even understand or comprehend, I think some of us, the level of deep subconscious programming we have about this idea of councils.
Mm,
So many of us carry trauma, which is just part of being a soul, right? Trauma, I don't even judge. I say that with total neutrality, by the way.
mhm,
So many of us carry memories. I'll use that word because sometimes trauma does like, wah, activate our nervous system. So just like go into your, yananai, go to your nervous system for a second. Like when they heard your nervous system heard the word trauma, it was like, ah, some of us have memories, memories. They're parts of our Akash where councils did some things that were less conducive to expansion and source, and they were lower frequency. But like
mm,
we played in all the sandboxes, friends. We have played in all the sandboxes. You would not have the wisdom you have right now if you had not played in all the sandboxes. So it's not like we're not in trouble for playing in all the sandboxes. We did it. But like now we take it and we go full circle, full circle. We come back around and we go, dang, what did we learn from that one?
mhm.
Why is it awaken, remember, and leak? We got to remember what we learned from that one. Then we come in and we're talking about cellular remembrance because a lot of people are like, I can't get like facts and figures. I'm like, don't worry. When
Yeah.
you show up in a council and you've opened yourself to cellular remembrance of Atlantean lifetimes of the golden frequencies, you will be on autopilot. You will be on autopilot. You will be full on. Let me tell you a story. If you don't mind, I'd love to tell a story about my little star seed.
Please do. Yes.
Okay. Some people who know me, some of my friends know, there's so many after the year 2012, there was a big shift in the frequency of the earth. And I've shared this before. I had 5 children before 2012 and 3 children after. Okay. I know my timeline split after that because I contracted to bring these 3 other little guys in that are like older than me, galactic beings, dragons. Like we're talking like
Mhm.
the big ones. One of them started remembering about Atlantis, the timeline of cataclysm and destruction. Now, if these kiddos are carrying this, we're being equipped. We should not be afraid to have that come up in them as they share because we have been equipped with what we need. We have been equipped with frequency medicine. Like I have my sound, like my sound stuff. We've been equipped to help them rapidly shift through that so they can access those ascended higher like frequencies, that memories, I guess you could say, parts of them. But what I've got this clear as day. So my little starseed's telling me how the earth flooded, and he remembers his brother didn't escape, and he remembers going up on a mountain and watching like whatever was happening. And he's like 6-year-old self was telling me this, right? In 6-year-old words. And I immediately got this intuitive impression. And his higher self came in and said, I came to this life, if you are to look at it in linear, right? Because it's not really linear, but they're just trying to illustrate it for me in linear time. I came into this time and this life for a do-over, is literally what he said. So
Wow.
yeah. So he said to his guides in his life between lives, before this life and after the Atlantean life of cataclysm, send me to the frequency timeline, which would be most conducive to a do-over into a birthing of the golden frequency that we intended to
Mm.
create.
I'm getting the
And
chills as
it's
you're
now.
saying it.
It's now. And I know you have a little one too. So
I've got a little grandson. Yes. I can
yeah, you've
definitely
got little people in your
influencing.
life that
Yeah.
you just you feel that. So
It's powerful what's coming through. And what I've been hearing consistently over the last 6 months is the times now. And I've never, it seems like it has a sense of urgency, and I would guess that it does. It doesn't come across that way. It comes across very loving, and but it's very also it's a calling us up. It's like
Mm,
it's time. It's
yeah.
time.
Yeah, we need a little grounding right now. I could is immediately like that came in and I can feel that. So I'm gonna do, if it's okay, I'd like to just do a
Yes.
little light language. Just breathing into our bodies. I invite everybody to just oh yeah, call in. If they're speaking light language, you do it right now for yourself. We're just calling in those beautiful frequencies of Gaia, just grounding. O kia kaya atokoko yama ahaya. O kia nanaya. I remember Dolores Cannon in one of her Convoluted Universe books talking about junctures of time. I think it was her.
Mm,
Actually, it's hard sometimes, when you read so much. Because there's no time and space in certain realities, they don't really look at it like it's the perfect time. But there are junctures. There are junctures like convergences, John. This is, we're literally coming full circle back to convergence.
mhm,
This is a convergence. It's a special point in creation. I guess I'm being shown the flower of life where you go out, that source fractalizes to go out to experience, gain the knowledge and wisdom, and come back to the 0 point energy, if that makes sense, and converge back, carrying with it all that. It feels like this for Gaia. I'm not the first person to say this, but it just feels pretty cool, just like bringing it through the way I am.
mhm,
So I'm being told it's very, very important. And some of you might be like, well, who does JJ channel? Who's she talking about? It's our guides and higher selves. It's if I'm in front of an audience, I set the intention, whether it's in real time or after the fact, that whoever is there, that our collective higher selves just whoop, whatever we need.
mhm,
It is, it would be very wise for us to calibrate ourselves to spend more time in what we call, with our limited knowledge and language, 0 point energy, to be comfortable, honestly.
mhm.
So, mhm, mhm,
Mm. Beautiful what's coming in, and love the way that you're grounding us in and taking that wobble into a place of neutrality, into that 0 point, which is such a beautiful place to be. And before we get on the call, you and I were talking about the wobble that we were kind of feeling that's been happening over the last, for me, really strongly. I felt it on Monday. A period leading up to it. It's just, but it's like, what is happening in the field right now? But I feel the convergence of those timelines, and a choice point or a split in those timelines occurring. And what's fascinating for me is I try to reflect on my personal history, those things that I would say, but I've healed that and this thing, and I have a boundary up against this and whatever. It's like the recollection of that, my field is not carrying the need to maintain those records. I may still have something in my mind that I can access, but the power, the authority that I gave that history in creating my current reality is so greatly diminished, and it feels like it's dissipating, and perhaps I would imagine completely being eliminated from the field.
mhm. That resonates. Do you know what? About 6 months ago, I'm kind of a self-taught Akashic Records reader, by the way. That might scare people because everybody's like, how are you certified? Who certified you? I'm like, my higher self. We all have
God.
the ability to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, source. It's like a unified field. It's all we all have access to. Um, I had these series of sessions. Like I do these offerings, like, and they're kind of one time. Sometimes I just get inspired to do these things, right? And it's like, it's
Mhm,
just this one time thing. So I was doing these Akashic Records deep dives, and in one of them, it came forward. It's you're done storing your Akash in your body, in your
mhm,
field right now in this now moment. So I think that's what you're kind of saying to me, because what they're having me do now in a few instances in the last little while, it's like visualize a scroll being rolled up and that old fashioned wax seal being placed on it, and it give it to your Akashic Records keeper and have them go put it away, like you're saying, it's no longer in the field of this incarnation, I guess you could say. There's
mhm.
something about what we're saying. Like, I know we're getting there. It feels like we're, but I guess I'm just throwing that out there for everybody here who's intuitive to sort of tune into. But there's definitely something to what you're saying. No
It,
doubt about it.
it's well, and it actually leads me back into the Grid Keeper
Mhm.
awakening and that role as this cleansing is taking place within us, then our capacity to grid keep, if you will, to go into places to act as anchors and amplifiers and expanders into what's becoming possible. There's there's a clear field that we're able to transmit that from when we're not holding that history in our records. And so I would love it if you start getting into, and this is part of the special offer, y'all. I want to get into it also, but you're teaching people advanced grid keeping
Mhm.
and playing with the field and holding the Gaia connection. And just there's the wisdom keeper role. There's so much that you're like guiding people into, and that really excites me. So
Yeah.
actually, why don't we go ahead and go into a special offer because it's all going to just dovetail
Yes.
in
Yeah.
perfectly. Chris, do
Yeah.
me a favor
Let's
and put
let's
the
do.
link for the special offer in the chat box. That's going to be, there you go. Thank you, Chris. Uh, y'all click on the blue link in the chat box. If you don't find the chat box for whatever reason, just open up a new browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/JJ33, and it'll take you to that same page. So advanced grid keeping.
Yeah, this grid worker, and I don't even love the word you said play. I call it grid worker, and grid keepers are part of the grid workers, right? Like this
Yes, yes.
verbiage, this English verbiage, like just doesn't always get it, but we're trying,
Agreed.
right? We're trying. It's like we're trying. I am a cosmic pillar of light. I am a cosmic pillar of light. I
Uh,
am a cosmic pillar of light.
mhm. Oh, yes.
That is it, John. You said that's your phrase, like that's been coming into your field. This is what you're just talking about right now. It's like you said the first two, and I was waiting for you to say pillar, but I was like, and a pillar, right? Like in
Mhm.
so many ways, the word pillar has been coming in for you. It's been coming in for me. Um, I laughed because I love, and I said this to you before the show. And for those of you who are new, who may be listening for the first time to John and what he does, I want to just take a side tangent for a moment and compliment you and honor and witness what you're doing, because as a person putting out content, what you're doing is no small feat.
Hmm.
The amount of people that you're gathering to share wisdom, the amount of voices you're giving a platform to that probably might not be comfortable doing it on their own is like just incredible. And I want to honor that.
Mhm.
You've been doing it for
Thank
a
you.
long time. You've been doing it for a long time. And I cannot believe the synchronicities of the shows you've had this week leading up to mine. I listened to them and I told you, I said, there's so much in here that is, there's literally themes woven into all these ones. So for those of you who are new, like I just, again, like I have to shout out to you, John. I'm sorry. I just do. I
Thank
know
you.
I'm supposed
I
to
will
talk
take
about
it.
my offering, but I'm like,
But
I'm like, literally, it just,
Hmm.
there's something about what you're doing that no one else is doing right now, but I feel it's a template and I think
I
it's
appreciate
important.
that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, absolutely. You're so welcome,
John
my
for
friend.
president. Yes.
Everybody
No.
shower John with love in the chat, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Grid working, advanced grid worker training. The word advanced scares people, and I totally know that. I'm really, really sorry, but that's what it's called. That's
I'm
what wants
glad
to
you put
come
it in
out.
there actually, because it's time to calibrate. We get to meet each other up here instead of the expectations that we're taught that we're supposed to have for each other. And
Yeah.
so no, I think it's y'all, it's time to own your
Yeah.
mastery. It's time to own that
Yes.
advanced level. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for witnessing that and drawing our awareness to that. Now listen, people. I ended up naming this course Nexus. I was a flat out drop in from spirit. And we all kind of know like the word nexus, it just means connection, but that word is really special. That word holds a frequency that I still don't even understand. I don't, because normally you're like, name it the simplest thing you can. It does have a subtitle, Advanced Grid Worker Training. It ended up being a stair-step offering, but right now the link that you have takes you to an on-demand course. And that course was channeled by myself and a couple of friends, and I believe at least one of them is on the call right now.
Mhm.
And John, we're being invited, you're modeling it right here on your podcast. We're being invited to create content in council and in group to then model the falling away of this guru template that is served its purpose, but it's now time to shift into, honoring everybody's gifts and bringing forward knowledge as like maybe three people is a really, really great number. So I actually had 3 people on the calls, even though there's only 2 that are showing up on the on demand. And I'm just going to tell you, we free flow channeled. I feel like the course is very feminine
Hmm.
because I'm a teacher and I've developed so much curriculum over my years. And I did not follow that format exactly. There is a loose structure to it, but we did not create an outline for what we were going to channel. We dropped in with a main theme, which you pointed out, like we've got wisdom keeper and record keeper. Okay. And my guides, like I say the names and you will get a ping. So listen very carefully if this is your first time hearing about this. Wisdom keeper, record keeper. Okay. Grid keeper, portal keeper, key keeper, code keeper. These are roles within our team of caring for Gaia, of assisting Gaia, of supporting Gaia, just like there is a nervous system, a muscular system, a skeletal system. Like it's all kind of in that same realm, like where we're all working together. So what we've been invited to do was to educate ourselves, or it's really not education, it's literally just remembrance, just what we said.
Mhm.
This course activates remembrance. There's an actual part of the course that is a remembering a life as a grid worker. So you're literally activating past life memories as a grid worker. Because my guides, I'm very much into shortcuts. I don't know about you, John, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, I always go with the Arcturians when I want a shortcut. I'm like, okay, Arcturians, like this is going to take way too long. Would you please give me the shortcut? Like, we don't
Nice.
have time to spend 5 years in some kind of educational program about what grid work is. Oh, they're like, oh, the fastest way to do that is to just have them remember what they've already done in past lives, what
Mm.
they've already done in past lives. And so what's happening is we are activating remembrance. I think that's what the course is doing because it gives you these pieces of activating concepts, and it's a beautiful plethora of information. It's a rainbow, if I could say. Like it is a rainbow of channeled information. I was going through it to prepare the website. You guys need to look at the website link because I actually had never done this before, John, but I was like, who did we channel? Because when you're channeling, you don't always remember who's coming through. You're literally in free flow. And I don't always go back to revisit like who, and I listed out who we channeled and who we called in for all the different modules. And I was like, whoa, I don't remember it being so many different. The Arcturians showed up, the Galactic Council showed up, the Inner Earth Council showed up, the fairies showed
Wow.
up. I can't even list them all right now, but they're there for you. And that was fun. And it felt like the Olympics as the channeler. I was was like, switch to a new frequency, switch to a new frequency. I don't mind doing it. Like, I have fun doing it right here, right now, if people are going to ask questions in a second, because it is fun, like, to just do that. But the offering includes all of those keeper roles. And what happens is people will be like, I can't pick just one. I'm like, the point is not to pick just one. The point is to activate remembrance. And yes, you probably want to, you want to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So you probably want to take them once you've covered all the course. And you probably want to take and just like lean into certain ones with your own intuition. There's also a really incredible, really incredible bonus content that we just like felt we needed to include about timekeepers. And for some reason, John, I'm getting a big ping about your connection to timekeepers.
Hmm.
I feel like that's just something I want to point out, but it might resonate with others of you. But the Mayan timekeepers and is it Barbara Marciniak's book? It's not Bringers of the Dawn. I think it's Earth Pleiadian Keys to Living Library.
Hmm.
It addresses the Mayan timekeepers. And there's something to it. And I'm one of those people that like knows a little bit about a lot of things. I had a friend that this came up for the other day. And I just invite everybody to take that as an opening, right? Like my this bonus piece of our offering has the timekeepers, and it gives you that taste. And every single offering that I do, this one and all the other ones, is kind of like the pauses that you're feeling in this podcast. Like there's a lot of unspoken information that will be downloaded when
Hmm.
you receive this content. It's designed to be embedded with codes that you have the opportunity, if you feel so inclined, to open yourself to receive at a subconscious and energetic level to activate the cellular remembrance that I was just talking about. So in a
Wow.
nutshell, I feel like right now I'm just like grasping at straws, trying to like hone in on something. But in a nutshell, that's the offering. That's Gridwork. I would love for you to take it from here because I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Get a drink of water, and I'm feeling so much. Um, First of all, I have to acknowledge you for what you transmit and the multi levels of all those codes that you're bringing in. Because even as you were speaking about them, it's like this vortexual energy is rising from my heart up into my high heart, into my throat, and I can feel the activation that's taking place there. And it's through the codes that you carry and how you transmit for us to receive. And this off, and again, that was just you talking about it. We're not even going into the recordings yet and into the transmissions. So that is absolutely amazing how you can articulate it in such a grounded way for the transmission to really land for us rather than to be scattered for us to try to pick up the pieces afterwards. That's really quite an amazing and impressive talent and capacity that you have in doing that. You're you're honing in on the time keeper codes and the Mayan connection. I was just in Chichen Itza last week, but I was there 8 years ago for the first time. And the second I walked into the grounds where the big pyramid is, I heard, go sit down in lotus position by yourself, leave the group. It's like, I think I'm going to listen to that voice. It's like, see you guys, I got to go sit down. And I found a shady spot underneath this bench and just plot myself in front of the pyramid, close my eyes. And the second I close my eyes, these algorithms, these mathematical
Mm.
formulas, and I was sober as can be. I wasn't on anything, y'all. I'm just saying. I was high on the energy of the lands, and it kept coming and coming. And I was befuddled and receiving. And I was, my God, what am I supposed to do? I have nothing to write down with. And even if I did, I wouldn't know how to begin to translate this or it's like just receive, 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 receive. And after about 30 minutes, it's just, it was done.
Mm.
It's like, oh, interesting. And I stood up and I asked and I heard, what is this? And I heard time travel. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this? You'll know when it's time.
Yes.
But I think it's part of those codes that we all carry pieces of it in different ways and we're unifying in it. But I just wanted to share that story and again, your capacity to hone into that and something that is definitely, I know I'm carrying that what it means. I don't quite, I have no idea still. I have some idea in different experiences that I've had. Um, but I know it's going to keep evolving as I keep
Mhm.
awakening and as I keep connecting with others as it is the appropriate time for us to do in this convergence, and that we activate each other with what we're all carrying. And so, again, the advanced grid keeper
Mhm.
aspect of this is also really important because a lot of us aren't even aware of what we're carrying, but we're carrying it through the intention, the way that we've held something, the way that we've traveled through the astrals into other expansions. And it's what's awakening now in our current evolution is beyond our comprehension, but I know without a doubt that we all hold a piece of it, and it's together that it's really going to be um the blast off into a new reality that we're all discovering as we go along. It's
Mhm.
fascinating.
And
Uh,
remembering. We're all
and remembering.
remembering,
Yeah.
honestly. It's really not a discovery even, it's a remembrance too.
Thank you.
It goes
Yes.
right back to it, right?
Hmm.
Right? It's fun to discover though, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that word. Our inner child loves that word. That's why we
Hmm.
put the veils of forgetting on in the first place, is so we can go back and play hide and seek again, because it's fun.
Right.
So it's like, it's like we can't really condemn or judge any choice we've made, any consent we've given to have the veils of forgetting, because we're playing the game of remembrance. It is a game of hide and seek with ourselves, our aspects of ourselves, our timekeeper selves, our grid keeper selves. Like, we chose this. And so
Hmm.
for those who are feeling frustrated, like, I can't remember, it's like that you got to bring the inner child into the remembrance. If you don't, you're going to be one of
Hmm.
those people that's like, I get stuck. I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting any downloads. Like, I can't, like, the programs we have, right? That, like, my third eye is blocked, this is blocked, that's blocked. That's why it's like, okay, hang on, everybody, stop, take a breath. Is your inner child present and accounted for? Is your
Hmm.
inner child present and accounted for? That's why they kept saying, like, when I would say grid work, they would be like, grid play, it's grid play. And so playing our way to remembrance,
Hmm.
playing our hide and seek with these memories, and having fun, like a kid opening a birthday present, like taking off the veils. We're giving consent. The birthday gifts are right there. We are navigating when and how to remove the wrapping on that. It's like a gift
Hmm.
we've wrapped and unwrapped a million times, maybe, who even knows? But, like, it's fun every time. And and they're like, stop.
Hmm.
Hmm. Your story about, it was Chichen Itza, you were there. This is a
Yes.
specific place, right? Is a great piece of information to share for this group, because it's a reminder to simplify sometimes,
Hmm.
and to not overthink. And when you said you were getting all these downloads, I'm so, like, I'll jump ahead. Like, it's my ADD, right? I'll
Love
be
that.
like, why do you get those? Like, I already asked it before you said you asked why I got those. I got the exact same answer you did. My guide said, because I said, what I basically was like, when anybody's in that position John was in, they're like, oh, you know what? JJ, like, that when the time comes that they need that information, it will be recalled.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
would it be fun to sometimes channel that into a drawing, a painting, a light language, a book? Yeah, yeah. But sometimes music, yeah, somebody put music in there.
Yes.
Sometimes though, John, it just stays in the body and then the cells.
Hmm.
And then you recall it when you need to recall it. And that resonated so deeply when you said that's what they told you. So I
Hmm.
want to remind everybody here, trust what you get is what you need when you get it. And the only other thing that they're reminding us right now is something I've been talking a lot about lately, which is light language, and the way light language can facilitate shifting energy. How do I say this? Um, our ability and our capacity to receive codes to store codes in our field in a more compact way so they do not overwhelm our physical fields.
Hmm.
Our light language can be like a zip drive, sorry, a compressed folder, sorry, a compressed folder without tools that are allowing us to compress some of the codes we're receiving and saving for later. This is when some of what people call ascension symptoms might come on.
Hmm.
That's what wants to come through right now. So
Wow. I feel such peace and stillness in your presence. And it just feels like such a harmonic space that is being created here. And it's so wonderful. And again, going into this course of what's being offered here and how you bring others together, JJ, is so powerful that you really are creating also an environment to foster just such beautiful growth and again remembrance, but also the growth that happens from the remembrance as people dare to be who they really are, give themselves permission as they remember, m melt their hearts into allowing the essence of their benevolence to be expressed. And so the course is an amazing place to start. Obviously, today's call, if y'all weren't familiar with JJ before, is an amazing place to start. And thank you for being here for that. But to go over the special offer again, the advanced grid worker training, um, intro to grid work and calibration.
you got
And
to
you
say the
can
word
read through
nexus, John. You got to say the word nexus. There's something about that
next
word.
Nexus advanced grid work training.
Yeah.
Oh, there really is. Wow, thank you for that. Again, the intro to grid work and calibration, the chambers of Gaia's heart. And I want y'all to read this, but I want to bring in the frequency of it again for it to land to you because this is singing to me so loudly that I'd be remiss if I didn't emphasize it. Wisdom keeper and record keeper,
Mhm.
key keeper, code keeper, grid keeper, portal keeper. And there's a closing integration in lesson 6. And there's bonus material. So there's light code drawings that accompany each lesson. There's a 15-page printable PDF journal. There's a 30-minute timekeeper lesson in there as well. And again, y'all can read this, but I feel like I'm really being called to emphasize this. There's a 90-minute grid worker remembrance workshop playback. And there's add-on one-on-one grid worker mentorship, excuse me, sessions. Oh my God. All of this is
John, just pause. Just pause, John.
pause. I think I'm meant to pause there. I wanted
It's
to get
like,
through this
I
before
know
I
it's
asked
like,
you.
oh, big deep breath. Whew. Whew.
So much. What's the grid worker mentorship sessions?
Oh man. So I cannot like those are partly my thing. So this is an add-on. I don't most people who know me know I don't always offer one-on-ones. I open one-on-ones here in person at my place in Los Angeles. But because of all the traveling I'm doing and all the offerings I'm doing and the group stuff I'm doing, I don't always have those accessible, but this offering is a doorway to be able to have the opportunity to do an add-on grid worker training and remembrance session where literally we're taking you through it's always remembrance. Okay, if that's not the theme already, it is, even more right now,
Hmm.
past lives, but really parallel lives where you already did these things. I've already seen in the chat, John, people saying, "Oh my gosh, this one speaks to me. That one speaks to me." I'm like, "Yes." And what I do is I simply reflect the memories with clarity for you so that your body can process them. We're all psychics. We all have access to all this stuff.
Mhm.
But, like we didn't come here to be like these lone people just walking around doing our own thing. Like that's why we complement each other. That's why there's one-on-one sessions and groups and all these things. So my goal in these, and I also have I've found the demand to be so great that I have 2 other very gifted colleagues that are also offering this session. But yeah, it's a doorway to one-on-ones that is only accessible through the course. I do not offer this like as a standalone on my website.
Amazing. What an amazing opportunity. Thank you for bringing that to the community. Y'all, this whole package is $111. There's a 2 payment option. It's a 30-day money back guarantee on everything, always on BTO. This is amazing. Again, just the frequency of being with some of the words, but being the transmission from JJ, just saying the words. has been an activation for me. So going deeper into it is going to be amazing. I can't wait to dive in. And I want to get more intimate with it also as in preparation for our journey into Mount
Mm-hmm.
Shasta and in preparation for my journey into Egypt as well, because there's something quite expansive that is occurring. And I'm really aware that I'm preparing for it, and to be consciously preparing is something that I take on as a holy gift that I've been giving to be able to have this opportunity, truly. So absolutely amazing. I'd love to open up to some Q&A. If y'all want to ask live questions, raise your hand. I'll promote you to panelist, and we'll take some questions in the chat as well, and we'll just flow through the conversation. But let's take advantage of our opportunity time here with JJ. Um, JJ, the first question I want to take is Marilyn has wrote in and she says that she's been told she's a parallel. Can you tell her anything about that?
A parallel.
Yeah, I don't know what a parallel is necessarily. Are you familiar with that terminology?
Let's ask her to put any more detail in there that she can. I can obviously tune into the energy of it. I guess from my perspective, and this is just my 2 cents, right? Like, run this by your own intuition. But honestly, we have multiple parallel like lives. And so if it's talking about timelines, there are parallels, that we're dealing with here. And in order for us to function and be human and go to the grocery store and run a vacuum and all the things we need to do as a human, we kind of sometimes have a veil over all of that because it can get overwhelming in a way. But we are stepping into more awareness of that as we step more into our sovereignty. So that's kind of just my 2 cents on that, but very, very fascinating.
I do have I want your opinion about this or your
Mhm.
awareness. I have a lot of people coming on the show and said, well, this other person told me I'm this, or this person told me I'm this, and we take it on like that's our identity now because someone tuned into something. Um, how do you see that being beneficial, and how do you see that being something that can maybe not be of such great benefit?
Mm. I just like to drop into a state of like more of that 0 point neutrality energy before we answer this and before I feel like I'm bringing forward a collective answer, like right from this
Beautiful.
group's higher selves. Um, they're all like sovereignty. We
Hmm.
are each other. We are reflections of each other. So as long as you are honoring the fact that you are multidimensional, one,
Hmm.
okay, one is I am multidimensional. So I do not attach to one identity, one definition, one of anything. I am multi-dimensional. Number two, we are all reflections of each other.
Hmm.
So even in the guru, there's a reason why we're releasing the guru templates. It's more of for our logical mind to release that programming because in order for us to step fully into our multidimensionality, we're being asked to co-create and co-activate in a group setting rather than like a teacher to students. But that served its purpose when it needed to. That teacher was a reflector too, if you want to look at it, because when you come out of separation, out of duality, you realize that we're all one. So, but I think the issue comes when we still forget that they are us and we are them. At the end of every podcast, I always say, I am you and you are me and we are we. And
Hmm.
that sort of deactivates any programming around someone else giving us a definition or telling us something. It deactivates the power that that might have over us in a way that doesn't serve us, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Absolutely. Hmm. Thank you for that. And again, I love how your answer is in unity conscious, not in separation, but really bringing the stabilization of the field for empowerment and liberation, which is really again, it seems to be, it doesn't seem to be, it is the graduation or the alchemy that we're going through, which is wonderful. Let's go to a live caller now, Aparajita, I believe. Welcome to the call.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. So there are two things you have talked about Mount Shasta. So I was also thinking about all these points on the earth, like I'm from India and I am aware of Mount Kailash. So is it possible, like, these are the points, like, I was reading, like, there are these high level beings or from other times, or I'm so confused. Like, I really want to get connected to that feeling. Like, are these the points where these other dimensional beings are existing and we can connect to them, or maybe apart, like another form, another dimension of ours is existing around that in
Mm,
those areas.
mm,
So it seems very mysterious, and I'm going through a phase of extreme transformation, and lot of dreams are coming to me recently. I'm trying to connect to that level. I'm trying to connect with the divine collective, and I'm in kind of excitement, turmoil, and I just don't know where I am. So I just wanted to understand my situation and how to get connected to all this to for the highest good, for the greater purpose.
Mm.
Thank you.
mm. The pause. I feel like the first thing that wants to come through for you is to be witnessed in what you're going through right now. And I just want to know you to know that we see you, and just allowing yourself to fully receive being seen, and like maybe just going and taking a nice deep breath right now. Beautiful. And I love how our guides will like a question will come out and they'll be like, look over here.
Mm.
This is what is coming through for you. It may feel like I'm avoiding the question and I'm really sorry, but I have to go with like my gut. I want to hold space for you to release any programming that might be residual, maybe ancestral, anything that is causing you to attach to the fact like that there is only one truth, that there is only one right way, and then all the other ways are wrong, because it's keeping your inner child from coming forward and like almost like allowing you to tap into the multitude of possibilities that could be the sort of the answers to your questions. Because looking at, like, say, our reality from a place of the right history and the wrong history is no longer serving us.
Mm. Mhm.
And we are being invited to, it's stifling our creativity in creating our reality, because we're so afraid to put the crayon on the paper because we'll go out of the lines. So I actually am seeing your guides telling you to scribble all over.
Mm. Wow.
Scribble all over and just let yourself like entertain every possibility right now. Like splatter the paint all over, all over. And they're telling me if you scribble all over or you splatter that paint all over and you let yourself entertain every single possibility, you're going to stand back from that painting or that drawing one day, and you're literally going to see everything in the utmost clarity. And that's what wants to come through.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. Brigitte, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Mm.
All of you.
Beautiful. And in these places where we have doubt or it feels like there's some stagnant energy, um, how do you recommend that people start activate or start playing with their own light language or chanting or toning to help a fluidity of their energy to start to pick up momentum again?
Mm. Get in your body. Get in your body and go out in nature.
Mm.
If you're not doing those two things and you're trying to do what you said, it's going to be much, much more difficult. Like literally, I'm really sorry to say this because I know star seeds are like, oh, it's like be a human, be a
Mhm.
human, talk to your fellow human beings, like do normal human things. Don't hyper focus on your quote unquote spirituality.
Nice.
And what you'll see is this weaving between that groundedness, holding space for you to call in some of those other things. Trust yourself is another thing that's coming through. Hang on just a second. There's a couple other things. Play was part of what you said, but it's like, what's the step before play? Hang on, let me see if there's another step before play. Go outside, be physical, be in your body. They're just telling me music has a power that we're totally underutilizing.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the last
Beautiful.
one that's wanting to come. Yeah.
All right. So let's go on to our next caller, Galactic Stars. Galactic Seed, excuse me. Welcome to the call.
Greetings, everyone. So can you all hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yes. So for me, I definitely was like taking notes on some of the things that I received throughout the transmission. And so I feel for me that I am coming out like kind of the spiritual closet and like sharing my abilities more often. However, I like recently kept it real with myself, as I like to call it, is that there is like this kind of like fear, I would say, like if I'm just being completely real, of like sharing myself in that capacity. And so like I feel like I'm slowly like stepping more and more. And every time I do so, I run into people who are telling me, share your magic. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like I'm already doing everything that I can, or at least that I believe. And so recently I found that like I am consistently finding feathers like everywhere I go. Like again, I'm like always in nature and it's like feather after feather after feather. I'm like very much a water being and like I always connect at the water and it's like I'm now finding feathers floating in the water coming towards me. And it's like I'm seeing them now in my dreams. And I'm like, I don't know if it's like, because again, I do feel like I am like taking every step to expose myself in the necessary reality. However, it's like I feel like these feathers is it like, is it a call to do more? Or like I just kind of wanted to hear your perspectives on that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you
Mm.
for sharing that. Your higher self is very fun. Um, I'm sorry to do this because I feel like I'm again avoiding the question, but they are playing today. They are
Nice.
playing. Here's what they're saying to you. I'm not kidding you. So this is going to take a little bit of thought on your part. They're actually saying, what do you want it to mean? What do you
Mm.
want the feathers to mean? And I'd love to hear what like immediately what do you want it to mean? What do you want them to mean?
Immediately, I want it to mean what I don't even want to use the word want. What I know it to mean is that the divine feminine is guiding me in integrating like I feel like I hold a very important role between the masculine and the feminine and not just in gender role but in energy and it's like that's kind of like what I've been doing and I just been noticing so many different things in my life that it's just like I feel like maybe I'm questioning it because I haven't allowed myself to be so immersed in a community in this capacity. It's always like I'm teaching, I'm always teaching, I'm always teaching, and I'm not allowing myself to learn from others. And I feel like that's
Mhm.
kind of where I'm experiencing this like fear or whatever it is. It's just I'm just ready to shake it off.
Okay. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, are you ready to receive that as what it means for you? Like, are you willing to open and actually receive what you just said it meant? And then you kind of
Yes.
added some stuff at the end. Yes.
Mhm.
Were you just
Yes.
like, I accept, I receive,
I accept, I receive,
and so it is.
and so it is. I
You
say.
are creating your own reality. Our signs mean what they mean because of what we put into them. I once had a guide say, a synchronicity is you manifesting something happening. I don't even like, are you guys seeing the shift and the
Mhm.
empowerment in what we're doing right now? Like, do you
Yes.
feel in your body how you just reclaimed some power
Yes.
doing what we just did, this interaction we just did?
Mm.
Hmm.
And by the way, I want to honor and witness you. Thank you for everything that you're doing because there's a whole bunch more I have to say about what you said. And I don't have time, but hopefully, like, you can feel my heart in honoring
Hmm.
what role you're playing for humanity right now. And also, thank you for stepping up to ask this question and to allow it to come forward the way it did through your own channel and your own sovereignty to model for the rest of this audience and all the listeners how this thing works, how what we just did works. So thank you.
I say much gratitude.
Yeah. And I just have to acknowledge that you stepped up and you articulated what your fear was and worked through it. So you asked how, you just did.
Yes, thank you so much.
You just did. Thank you so much. Amazing.
Sashay.
Blessings, Ashe. So Melly, how can we keep the trappings and worries of the 3D world money relationship career challenges from holding us back from ascending? How can we hear our spirit guide messages when there's some kind of block?
Mm. This one's coming in loud and clear. Once again, I'm going to qualify what I'm saying because of some deep programming we all have about people answering questions for us. So take this, run it by your own intuition. But in this particular instance and for this particular audience, what wants to come through is this. Our perceived blocks are simply a lack of full presence and full embodiment.
Mm.
When we are fully embodied and fully present in our bodies, in our realities, instead of escaping them, because a lot of times starseeds do that, those blocks will basically disappear, if you want to say it that way.
Mm.
And I always call in the information that will be the most effective, the most rapidly. So when I say that to you, when your guides say that to you, your higher self, try not to. I can feel some of us have that, like, that's not a complicated enough answer. Like, that's not enough words. Like, I need more than that. It's like, try to sit with the simplicity of what they're asking you to do, to be present and to be in your body.
Mm.
And do not underestimate the power of the most simple shifts in behavior to create ripples across all of the areas of your life. That's what wants to come through.
Mm.
And so it is.
So beautiful, JJ. Thank you for that. Where I just keep hearing, and as so many people have, you can feel everybody's love. It's like y'all's love is so powerful, and you can feel the intentionality of that, and it's just this bubbling up that wants to burst through. And then some of the wobble, again, that I'll call it, some of the not remembering or waiting for that remembering to be activated. If we just remember, because sometimes the most difficult thing that we do are those things that we do for ourselves, right? But remember the power and the impact that your love has upon those around you, on your children, how everybody world becomes better as you activate that within you, as you call back that lion heart to you as we enter this lion skate. And we remember the authority and the true power that emanates from that. It's how can we hold ourselves back in doubt and fear? How can I know that I am an expression of a balanced masculine and feminine and not share that? It's like there comes a time where my commitment to my service is bigger than any fears that I have of myself. And I strongly believe that that's where we're all coming to. We're being sprouted into these new energies that are, I can't even say facilitating anymore, because it's no longer facilitation. It is bursting us into that level of awareness. So it's so powerful. And again, what you hold, JJ, in the field and the elegance and the peacefulness in that is so powerful for me. So I just love what's coming through today.
Listen, can I pause for a moment and tell you something that
It's
dropped in my community? It's just a reminder, okay? I mean, I said it flat out. I was channeling it, and I just want you guys to know I am only one of three things. I am a mirror, a door, or a window, whatever you need it to be. And it's so important for us coming into like a space like this to feel that. Like, I
Mm,
just need to point that out, John, because thank you for witnessing me. And I also just want to remind you guys, I am reflecting that great love that
mm, mm,
everybody here is holding space for. And I am not exaggerating when I say what I am doing right now is not possible without everybody here, because I am simply, again, right now, for me, in my personal opinion, reflecting what you just said I was holding space for is literally reflecting this
mm.
beautiful, beautiful, like whether you're listening live or you're listening to playback, there's no time, there's no space. So I just want to stop and say that. Thank you for the
Ah,
tangent.
beautiful. Wow, amazing. Y'all, we're gonna have the replay up in a couple of hours. Chris, put the link for the special offer in the chat box again. Just being immersed in the environment, the energy of just what you were talking about was such a powerful activation. Again, it's going deeper into it. Again, I'm excited to participate. And I hope you all do too. It's what an amazing opportunity and calibration that's coming through. So I highly encourage all of y'all. It's through my enthusiasm for you to participate as well, and to have this wonderful
Can I
experience.
address a question that somebody asked? I saw it really quickly
Please,
pop up in
yes.
the chat.
Mhm.
It was like, do I need prior experience?
Ah, yes.
Right? Because the offering is designed to activate your remembrance, I can honestly say, if you're willing, open, and ready, nobody that's on this call has zero experience with grid work, right? We have a
Mhm.
forgetting. So I would wholeheartedly say, do it. Calibrate yourself though, like go into it eyes wide, like go into it prepared, like take the time, do your, calibrate however you need to, like before you push the play on the first course, like tune into your own intuition, maybe take a few notes. There's like there's some pre-course journaling in the journal. And I have no reservations in saying it will meet you where you are,
Mm.
as long as you are willing to surrender to the remembrance. That's all I want to say.
Hmm, beautiful. Thank you for that. And JJ, as we're ending tonight's call, can we end it with a little light language, kind of like juiciness,
Oh,
please?
it wants to come through. As soon as I said music, right? Like when I was talking and that I said music was so important, I just was like thinking, I'm singing. Like I just feel a
Nice.
little bit of like sing-songy light language coming through. So thank you,
Mm.
everybody. Uyanahiyai. Nahiariaho. Uyanahirai. Hirai. Hiania. Ina, ina, ia. And that is a Lemurian song of remembrance.
Wow. Ah, so beautiful. JJ, thank you so much. I'm going to be soaking in the rest of the night and into the weekend. Yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you for your willingness to be as much as you're sharing with us. And then I know there's so much more also, that's so beautiful, but for daring to lead, for saying yes to being a doorway or the window, to being that gateway, um, and for everything that you're doing to help us to remember what's possible within ourselves. Such beautiful work that you're doing. I'm so glad that you finally came on Beyond the Ordinary. So excited to collaborate with you in Mount Shasta and everything else that's coming through. So it's, again, such a blessing. Thank you.
You are so welcome, John. It was my honor to be here. It was my honor to co-create with all of you who are in the
Mhm.
audience and everyone who asked questions. Thank you for this weaving that we've been able to carry out. It's it's been absolutely exquisite.
Hmm. Hmm. everybody on the call. Yes, what a week, Mir, right? It's been amazing. All of y'all, truly, I bow and namaste. Just acknowledge all of y'all. So powerful, so potent, so much love, so much wisdom. I see you and I am grateful for you. I look forward to seeing you on the next call. All right, bye, everybody.